Lightroom just released a brand new update, 13.3, which brings a really useful feature from Photoshop. But I'm just going to start this video with a big spoiler, and that's that as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to switch Lightroom back to an older version, and let me tell you why. What's up? My name is Jay LeBlanc, wedding photographer and photo video educator. Lightroom just released a new update which brings some really powerful features from Photoshop over into Lightroom. And the biggest, most important one that everybody's super excited about is the Generative Remove. Now it's still in early access, and when you update Lightroom to 13.3, it tells you right there in the beginning that it's early access, which means it's not fully there yet, but they're letting you test it out. See how you like it, see if there's any bugs, you can report it back to Adobe and help them develop the software. Another thing that they're pushing is the fact that they are taking the lens blur and making it a little bit bigger. They're also giving us some really cool adaptive presets, so we're going to check those out, see how they do. But like I said earlier, I'm going to warn you, I'm not super impressed. And for you Sony shooters out there, with some cameras, you can now tether directly into Lightroom. Lightroom's also bringing a couple other useful features that I'll just throw up right here on the screen for you to check out. Now, I made a video when Lightroom updated to version 13, and if you haven't checked it out, I'll link it above for you so you can go check it out, because some of the new features that are in this update are just improving those old features that were added last time. All right, so we're here inside of Lightroom now, and underneath our remove tool, we now have the option of generative AI. So we can use AI to remove objects. Now, when you first download this update and install it, they do recommend for smaller, easier things to remove to just still use the healing brush. This is not replacing the healing brush yet. I have a feeling it might in the future, but they did say for smaller things, easier projects, use a healing brush because it's going to be faster. The generative AI does take a little bit longer to make these adjustments because it has to analyze the whole scene and then come up whatever it's going to throw into that area. So I think for the first picture we have here, I'm going to give it something that I think might be easy. So you have to click on Generative AI and Object Aware. That just lets Lightroom know, like, hey, there's something here that I'm trying to remove, and don't remove anything else. And it does a pretty good job, I will admit. We can click on this little toggle that says Visualize Spots, and it brings up this mask for us that shows that Lightroom kind of knows what's going on in the picture. And it's using this information to help determine what we want to take out and what we want to leave in. So let's just try something easy first. Something that I'm sure the healing brush would be able to do. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller and try and take out this rope here below this swing that the bride's sitting on. And we'll see what Lightroom kicks back to us. All right, selected it, made its own mask. Now back up here in the top right corner, we're going to check that we can either add to the mask, we can subtract to it, or we can adjust our brush size. But I'm just going to click apply. And Lightroom's going to do its thing. It's generating, going to the AI robots and saying, Sir Overlord, what shall we put here where this rope was? Nothing! All right, so we just had a stack of wood behind it. I'm going to close out of it. I think it did a pretty good job. I don't think I would actually be able to notice that if I didn't already know that there was a rope there. Let's try one more thing. Let's try this chair in the background. I think that this is a little bit more difficult, but we'll see. Probably should have used a bigger brush, but we're too far into it now. All right. So we painted our chair in the background. Let me get this little cross member right there. All right, and now we're going to apply it. And Lightroom Classic is phoning the AI gods, asking them, what shall we put here? Huh. Well, now it's a two-seater swing, I guess. Interesting. I mean, the wood looks pretty realistic, but the fact that it just extended the swing over, I don't love that. Let's see if we can maybe use the healing brush now and remove our second bench on the swing. Yeah, no, that's a no for me, dog. I don't know if it did the best job here. Let's see if we undo it. Bring our chair back in. Let's try it one more time. Just maybe it'll do a little bit different of an algorithm and it'll give us a different result. Let's see what happens. Okay, we selected it. Yep, that's my chair. Let's apply it. And what will we come up with? All right, a little less of the swing, so maybe it's a 1.5 seater now, but still not perfect. Well, we can refine it though, so let's refine it. And let's go ahead and subtract the part that's touching the swing. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Let's see if that makes a difference. I feel like I should just play some Jeopardy music every time that this thing's doing its thing. What is that? Just left the leg of the chair? I mean, the wood looks good, but... Alright, so it definitely has its limitations. But I think now maybe we could go ahead and draw that. See if we can take that leg out. I don't know. It'd be really cool if it worked. Sure would be cool if you did that. Wow, look at that. Alright. Well, that just saved us a trip into Photoshop. I'm cool with it. I like it. I don't really think anybody would notice it. Maybe you would want to go in there one more time to remove that little bit of blue that's going on, because I don't know any wood that glows blue. Unless it's on fire. But yeah, other than that, it looks pretty good to me. Let's try something a little bit more challenging. Do me a favor real quick. If you could, hit the like button. It's a huge, huge help for me. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, and it's all thanks to people like you who destroy the thumbs up button for me. So thank you for everyone who clicks that every time they watch one of my videos. And let's get back to Lightroom. So here's a picture of one of my second shooters, Sean, holding a bouquet of flowers. It really looks good on him. I always tell him that every time I see him at a wedding holding a bouquet of flowers, I'm going to take a picture of him. So obviously I have this. But what I'm going to try is, let's see if we can remove the bouquet of flowers from his hands. See what Lightroom wants to do with that. I'm going to make my little rough selection here. I don't want to go too slow, because I feel like when I remove stuff, it's quicker the better. All right, Lightroom did its thing. Let's apply it. Let's check out what it's going to shoot back to us. I'm really curious to see what it does here, especially what's it going to do with his hand. Whoa! Hey, Sean, something's going on with your fingers there, bud. I think you have 7 fingers now. Yep, that's freaking me out. Yeah, that's a little freaky. So let's just go ahead back into here, and we're going to click on this little modification. We have different variations here. So that was the first one. Let's see what the second one was. All right, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he wants somebody to smell his fingers. I'm not sure. Let's see the last one. All right, this one, all right, maybe going for a fist bump. Still a little freaky. This is definitely where the one area that you see AI having a lot of problems is when it comes to fingers. I feel like if you look at the fingers, AI has a very difficult time making realistic fingers, especially with Adobe. And I just don't love what it shoots out to us. So now let's just go check out another picture, see what it can do. Here's a drone shot from when I went to Lake George. If you've never been to Lake George in New York, it's a cool spot, especially in the fall time. I'm going to try to just get rid of the entire town. We'll see what it does. I'll make a nice big brush here, paint right over the town. See what happens. All right, we selected our whole town. Let's apply it. A lot of waiting with AI. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. That looks good. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. There's a little spot over here that looks a little funky. I don't know what happened there. But just like that, the whole town of Lake George is gone. A little funkiness going on over here. I'm sure we could refine that. Let's just check out what other variations it gave us. Just out of curiosity, let's click on our little brush right here. Next variation. Okay. Looks a little bit better. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. Make sure I get everything that I see. All these little houses in the background. Get the entire town in there. One more shot at it. Go ahead, Adobe. Oh, yeah, forgot that house over there. And I think we're good. Let's go ahead and apply this. Give it another shot. Interesting. Don't love that. Let's check a different variation. A little bit better. Definitely a little funkiness over here going on with the, I guess, an island of trees that it made. I don't know. Let's try one more variation. See what it gives us. Okay, so I guess this is what the town of Lake George looks like post-apocalyptic. Huh. Well, there you go, residents of Lake George, or frequent visitors. This is what the future holds if we ever get overrun by zombies. I'm going to give this a go on one more picture, just because I like to see different variations of what it could do with people, what it could do with landscapes, Now let's do a combination of both. We're going to do a person and a landscape. So here we have a picture of my wife walking through some water. So we're going to try and remove her and her reflection in the water. Let's see what Lightroom does here. Wow, where'd my wife go? I guess this is what Costa Rica looks like if I was traveling solo. I mean, I guess we kind of like her. We should probably bring her back, but I do want to see the other variations that we have here. Just see what's different. I think it did a pretty good job, and it looks very realistic. It's just a lot less interesting now that there's nobody in the picture. I guess if she watches this, we should probably bring her back, right? All right, so that's the generative remove. It works pretty well. I like what it's doing for most pictures. It, like I said, it does have those problems with the fingers. It's just weird. I don't know why AI doesn't like human fingers, but maybe one day it'll figure it out. I don't know. Let's go on and check out this whole lens blur. Now, I did play around with it a little bit, and I'm going to warn you that it is ridiculously slow. I have a very powerful MacBook Pro, and while I was playing with this lens blur, for the first time since I have owned my MacBook Pro, and I edit 4K 120 log footage and 8K raw footage, and this was the first time I've ever heard the fans turn on in this computer. So, with that being said, this whole lens blur feature inside of Lightroom, my computer does not like it. And for this reason, I'm going to be reverting back. But I do want to show you. I'm going to use the exact same pictures that I used in my last video when this feature was first introduced into Lightroom. They supposedly have updated it and has gotten better. We're going to take a look at it together and see if that's really the truth. So right here is our original image with bride and groom on a carousel. Here's the picture that Lightroom created last time I did the lens blur with Lightroom when this feature first came out. Now I'm going to do a third iteration of it, and we're going to check out what the new algorithm does. Supposedly it's better at detecting people or the subject, and I'm just going to click apply and I'll just leave all the default settings. That's what the last one was, just with the older algorithm, and we're going to see what it looks like. So I clicked apply, and we're going to wait and wait. Okay, here's our result. We're going to bring up these two pictures next to each other. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone right now, but just trying to show you these pictures. The fans in my computer kicked on again. I don't get it. It does not like these lens blur features. So I'm going to pull these two pictures into survey mode for you. And on the left, we're going to have what Lightroom gave us last time with the older algorithm. And on the right, we're going to have the newer algorithm. So I'm going to zoom in right down here. We're going to start with the horse's knees. Last time we learned that this is, in fact, the horse's knee. And I said that it just decided to blur this out last time. Well, now we're doing a little bit better of a job. On the updated version over here on the right, we do have focus on the knee. But as we move up the horse's body, well, last time we at least got 1.5 ears. Now we just have 2.5 ears. And also, if we look over here at the bride, last time we had the forearm and elbow decided that was the background and the hand was going to be foreground and the hand was in focus. Now with the new updated version, just the whole arm is just out of focus. I think it's doing a better job with the hair. If you do look around her head and his head, you can see that on the left, on the older algorithm that it was using, the edge of the hair is very like crunchy. The same with her hair, it's very crunchy. It's not a good outline. But with the newer version, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's definitely a lot better. It's more acceptable. I still don't see myself being okay using this at all. I don't think this is even close to being a result that I would want to deliver to a couple. Maybe with something that's a little bit more simple, it would do a better job. But again, I'm comparing what I compared last time. So we're taking the exact same pictures, we're putting it through the exact same tests with the newer algorithm, and we're getting equally as bad results, maybe a little bit better, maybe like 10% better, but that's really about it. Even if you look at this pole over here, I don't understand. This pole is the exact same distance from my camera, the whole length of the pole, and just random parts of the pole are being considered background. I don't know what's going on with Lightroom here. Let's check out a different image here. Here we have another picture where this is the original picture, nothing done to it at all. Then we have what the old version of the lens blur decided to do with this image, which is atrocious, honestly. And now we have what the new version of the lens blur tool has done to the image. So I'm going to compare the old version and the new version. So on the left we have the old version, on the right we have the new version, and I'm going to zoom in right here. We're going to start with the cable. I mean, on the old version, it is a very hard line where it's like, this is foreground, this is background, this is terrible. On the new version, it does a slightly better job fading it, but you can still see a pretty hard line of what it thought was foreground and background. I'm pretty sure that my wife would really appreciate that in a new version, she now has a full chin instead of only a 40% of a chin. If you look at the outline going around her arm, the left side of her body, you can definitely tell that it's doing a much better job at cutting her out. But on the right side of the body, as we look at the outline along this, what I would definitely consider being a challenging background, it's still not doing a good job. It's still making the exact same mistake there. As we go down to the legs, I think it does a much better job around the leg area. So I am impressed with that. It's getting better. I will say it's definitely getting better, moving in the right direction. Do I think it's there yet? No, I do not think it's there yet. I think this is still a very ugly way of trying to make your pictures look a little bit more professional. And anybody who has eyes can very clearly see that something's wrong. Now, Lightroom also does add another feature that's pretty nice. It's presets that are adaptive presets. So what it's going to do is find your subject, and it's going to blur out the background depending on whichever preset you select. Whether it's a softer blur or a stronger blur, let's check those out real quick. Because this feature I do see being a little bit more practical, but this is also something that you can build on your own using the AI masks. It just now, Lightroom is including it for you. So underneath your adaptive presets, if you go to adaptive blur background. Now this picture, the background's already pretty blurry, but let's try subtle. We'll click on it. It says your edits were applied. Okay, you can see a little bit of a difference there. So if we just go before, after, before, after. Not a big difference, right? Let's go back to the before. Let's try the strong. See what happens. Whoa! That looks like somebody had a little bit too much fun with Gaussian blur. I don't even think this looks realistic at all, but some people might like it. Let's try out circle. It looks okay. I think this was going to look a lot better with lights in the background, and I do have a picture for you to check that out on as well. Pretty much from circle on down is going to apply more so to if you have lights in the background. Don't get me wrong, you can use them in any situation, but I think that's what they're more geared towards. So let's take a look at an image that has lights in the background for these adaptive presets to actually blur. All right, so I pulled a picture here of my dog at Christmas time, and we have some nice Christmas lights in the background. Don't get me wrong, the lights in the background are already a little bit blurry, but we're going to see what these presets inside of Lightroom are going to do to these lights. Maybe make it a little bit better, maybe make it a little worse. We'll find out. If you appreciate me having my dog in most of my videos, give me a thumbs up, because look at him. He's so cute. So first I'm going to check out circle. You can see that's the after. Here's the before, after, before. It does a decent job of separating the background from the foreground. I do feel like the table over here, like the edge of it, it does look a little bit weird. Like it's way more out of focus right here on the side of the table than it is on the part that's facing it, and they're just an inch apart. So I don't think that looks super realistic, but that's just me being nitpicky there. Let's check out bubble. Bubble looks okay. Again, I think it's having a hard time with the table. The table doesn't really look natural. And we're going to reset it. We're going to check out geometric. Again, looks decent. Reset it. Ring. I kind of like. It just really accentuates those bokeh lights that we have in the background. Reset it and swirl. Swirl is got to be my favorite type of soft serve ice cream. Chocolate and vanilla swirl. If you know, you know. If you don't, you should. Well, there you have it. I think the adaptive blur background presets are pretty good. I think the generative remove feature does a pretty good job, and I see it coming in handy in a couple situations, but it still looks like I'm gonna have to take these pictures into Photoshop for some things. But for now, it's nice having that feature. But that lens blur tool, the fact that it's slowing down my Lightroom so much on my very powerful computer, making my fans spool up to almost full speed, I just can't see myself keeping this version of Lightroom. They got to figure out the bugs to make it work at a more efficient pace. And even in the update notes, it talks about optimizing Lightroom for Apple computers. And I just don't see the speed. I love Lightroom. I love it. But the biggest thing that has been keeping me from loving it even more for the longest time now is the fact of how slow it is. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that these new features are worth having a slower Lightroom catalog? Or do you think you're just going to hold off, still use Photoshop, and make your own presets? Let me know in the comments below. And until the next video, peace.